someone, you're actually a Klang Valley boy, but you were a medical officer. You started working in rural Sabah. A lot of doctors would never want to go to Sabah. If they are from Klang Valley, they'll always try not to get to Sabah. So, what was your experience like? Did you intentionally choose Sabah or you had no choice?
Choice was all mine. Back in then, many years ago, I think it was a matter of where you wanted to go, they will place you. In fact, JP interviewed us even before our final year med school, before our final MBBS. That was the slight difference that we had in terms of job opportunities. So, yes, I chose Kota Kinabalu Sabah. It was my first choice, followed by Kuching, and third was Penang. So, the reason why I chose Sabah was I think it's part of being who I am. I enjoy new experiences. I wanted to travel. I enjoy traveling. And though I grew up in PJ in Bangsa in my early years, I have always liked always appreciated nature actually, hiking and stuff like that. And so Sabah was a good call for me. And plus, I had a few good friends who were already there who gave me a glowing report on the experience of working as a doctor in Sabah. So I think that formed my decision to choose to go to Sabah.
What was the experience like when you finally got there?
Was challenging. It was challenging. I had no car. I had to find my own, which was just a small room, sharing bathrooms in a motel across the hospital. The hospital itself, the infrastructure wasn't great. It's nothing like what it is today. It was tough. It was a tough, challenging journey. But as I said in medicine, it's the patience and your actual work process that makes the difference. It was a very rewarding experience because we had the opportunity to see a lot of patients and you're able to make a difference in every patient. So at the end of the day, no matter how tiring it was, we worked close to what? Then I said I only had 6 hours off. So 18 hours a day was our work, 6 a.m. to 12 midnight for the first 2 weeks was our tagging shift, right? 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. And, but you left with a sense of achievement, left with a sense of satisfaction. And I think that's what drove me on.
Okay.
My housemanship is now housemanship is tough, it's tough, especially when you're going to deal with a lot of work and a lot of things is piled onto you. But you keep striving, and I think that build character as well. Decision making process when the medical officers and specialists actually depend on you. So that sense of satisfaction, that sense of pride, I think is what spurred me on.
And then you managed to become the deputy director of Hospital Tambunan. How did that happen?
But first, it was me being sent to Tambunan, which then was not a choice. That was not a choice. So on completion of housemanship, I did not have any floating MO, nothing like that. The very next day, I was transferred to Hospital Tambunan, which is located about 100 kilometers from KK in the hill stations of Sabah. If you know Kota Kinabalu, Ranau, it is the town before that. There's two towns before that. So it's in the hill stations up in the mountains, but nothing, absolutely nothing, right? So going to Tambunan itself was further culture change because it was just paddy fields, very, very rural folk with very limited access. There was no 3G access. We had SMS. There's no WhatsApp then, at least in Tamura. So I stayed on for a while, but I think the most important for me was adapting. You have to adapt. You got to adapt. So I learned the local language, the Dusun language, Kadazan Dusun. Being in a district hospital, it wasn't a big hospital. We only had about 70 beds, but it was a full-fledged hospital. We had a OT, operating theater. We had a emergency, accident and emergency. We had outpatient. We had a dialysis center. So we had everything. We had everything a hospital has, but of course on a small scale. The difference is that you are dependent on. You are the only doctor. When you're on call, you're the only doctor for the whole town. And when you do weekend calls, you're on call from Friday evening right up to Monday morning. Nobody is around. You are the only doctor. And so patients depend on you. There's this trust. There's this 150% trust they place on you. Right. And so I think it grew on me. And so as much as I enjoyed the clinical work, it was tough. It was tough. I must say there was only 4 MOs. And we had to cover all these 3 wards, OT, emergency, outpatients, every day 100 patients in each clinic. So it was tough. But while tough, the tough get, as you say, what doesn't break you makes you stronger. So how I became the deputy director was not, I would say, not by accident, but I think just my longevity in the district. At that time, there were a lot of doctors coming from Peninsula, and the earliest chance they could leave, they applied to leave. And how I became the deputy director, I think by staying on and seniority wise. And also, I think, as I said from the beginning, my intention was always to make a difference. Besides being a clinical doctor, I always looked at areas of how to improve the delivery of care. So, how we could manage the driver's roster, for example, how we could manage our budget better, how we could get our doctors' payments done better. So, I used to always voice these things out. So, finally, my director said, very good, since you like all this, why don't you come on and take on this role?
Join disruptive doctors. Oh, oh, disruptive doctors. Impact